the station that stands for Kansas City. This is KCTV 5 News at 10.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Hundreds gathered to remember 2 lives lost in the line of duty. After 2 days of mourning, the community gathered to pay respects to deputies Teresa King and Patrick Rohr. Family, friends, and strangers packed the area outside City Hall in KCK for a candlelight vigil. That's where we find KCTV5's Nathan Vickers with more on how the fallen were remembered tonight.
We must look to the sacrifices of Deputy Rohr and Deputy King and believe what they believed. That the fight for goodness and truth and justice is worth our very lives, every day of our lives.
For the second time in as many days, a moment of silence was held to remember a fallen Wyandotte County Sheriff's deputy. KCK Mayor David Alvey and members of law enforcement paused to remember the sacrifice of Teresa King. TK, as family and friends called her, died shortly after midnight. She was a 13-year veteran of the force and leaves behind 3 children. Deputy King and her partner, Patrick Rohr, were shot during a prisoner transfer outside the county courthouse Friday morning. Tonight, the community is honoring their sacrifice. KCTV5's Marcel Clark talked to people who stopped by to drop off flowers or say a quick prayer at a growing memorial.
So I would ask everybody to remember my family as the beautiful people they were.
Tia Coleman remembering her 9 family members killed in a tragic duck boat accident on Table Rock Lake. On a typical Saturday night, Table Rock Lake and Branson would be lively and cheerful. But tonight, the popular tourist town is mourning the loss of 17 lives. Some of today's biggest developments, an inspector says he warned the company last summer about issues with the boat's design that could cause it to sink in bad weather. The NTSB says it has recovered the boat's recorder, which could contain audio of what happened. We've also learned no one on board was wearing a life jacket. Survivors say they were told where they were located, but were never told to wear them. As the investigation continues, people in Branson are honoring the lives lost. Jessica Reyes joins us live with a look at how they are being remembered tonight. Jessica.
Amy, the last cars from those victims have been towed away, but the memorial out here only keeps growing. In the past several hours, people have come out with teddy bears, candles. The latest one, though, this poster right here with the victims' names, all 17 of them right here.
I told him I loved him. He told me he loved me. And I asked him to take care of the kids.
Those were Pam Smith's final words to her husband, a phone call as the waves on Table Rock Lake got bigger. Her 2 children were also on board. Her daughter survived. Her son did not. We continue to hear heartbreaking stories of families forever changed by the tragedy at Table Rock Lake. Steve and Lance Smith were 2 of the 17 people who lost their lives as the duck boat sank. Here is the latest from Branson tonight. Just hours ago, we learned the last of the survivors being treated at the hospital has been released. We also learned that crews will attempt to raise the boat starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Today, dozens of people packed a church for a memorial service to remember the victims. Our own Stephanie Kaiser was there and joins us live tonight from Branson. Stephanie.
This is what a heartbroken community looks like. You can see signs, flowers, candles out here in front of the entrance to ride the ducks. You can even see people out here now lighting some of those candles tonight. Now, today, about 200 people gathered for a memorial service to show support for the families of the 17 victims who lost their lives when one of these duck boats capsized.
All 3 detectives were transported to a local hospital. All right now appear to have non-life-threatening injuries, thank God.
Gunfire as Kansas City police close in on a murder suspect. 3 officers were hit. They are recovering tonight. That suspect was killed. Police say the man was wanted in connection to the shooting death of 25-year-old Sharath Kopu on July 6th. Officers have been working to find the suspect in this case for the last week. That led them to the Skyview Motel near 435 and 40 Highway around noon. That is very close to the stadium complex. KCTV5's Nathan Vickers is live at police headquarters tonight with the latest developments on what happened when police finally caught up with that suspect. Nathan.
Amy, police say the man fired at officers as soon as they identified him. Then the man drove off, and that was the first of several shootouts as police searched through several East Kansas City neighborhoods.
We are tracking 2 breaking news stories tonight. A school bus full of Metro students overturns after a crash in Johnson County, Missouri. And in Kansas City, Kansas, a teenage girl is dead after a car crash. Both of these stories breaking just within the last couple of hours. It is a move sending shockwaves through the wireless world. Sprint and T-Mobile have finally agreed to a merger after previous talks ended without an agreement. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Amy Anderson. 22 minutes of nonstop news and weather starts now. The merger announcement set off a long regulatory process that could take years. When it's all over, T-Mobile hopes to be one company with 2 different headquarters, one in Bellevue, Washington, the other in Overland Park. The deal is worth $26 billion. The companies say the move will help them compete with Verizon and AT&T. KCTV5's Nathan Vickers begins our in-depth coverage at Sprint's headquarters in Overland Park with what this merger means for the company's thousands of local employees and its customers. Nathan.
Amy, if this merger goes through, we'll go from 4 major phone carriers in the U.S. to 3, and that's one less choice for you, the consumer. But Sprint and T-Mobile claim that their union will ultimately improve wireless coverage for their customers.
Live from the station that stands for Kansas City, this is KCTV5 News at 6 p.m.
There are rarely elections like this where you see the lead exchange hands so many times.
After 24 hours after the polls closed in Kansas, we still do not have a winner in the Republican race for governor.
191 votes is all that separates Secretary of State Chris Kobach and Governor Jeff Collier. Thousands of provisional and mail-in ballots still need to be counted, meaning it could be another week before we have a winner. But that is not stopping Kobach from hitting the campaign trail.
While the final votes are counted, Kobach is shifting his focus now to the general election. It's only 3 short months away.
It is imperative that we begin running, understanding that this is a tentative victory, and that I am carrying the baton for this first week with the full knowledge that I may hand the baton to Jeff if the provisional ballots change the outcome.
If the totals are still that close when all the votes are counted, then there could be a recount. Governor Jeff Collier remains confident, though, that he will come out on top in the end.
We need to get ready for the first count, and we want to make sure that every vote, every legitimate vote, is counted. And that's what our expectation is over the next couple of weeks.
Both men seem open to supporting whoever comes out on top, but it is possible that the process could drag on for several weeks.
Now live breaking news from KCTV5 News.
Breaking news in the Republican race for Kansas Governor. Jeff Collier is calling on Secretary of State Chris Kobach to stop giving advice to county election officials while votes are canvassed and provisional and mail-in ballots are counted. Now, the race got a lot tighter today, and we are finding small differences in the numbers reported by the county and Secretary of State's office. More on that in just minutes. But first, it is game day in Chiefs Kingdom. The Sea of Red is making its way to Arrowhead Stadium for tonight's game against the Houston Texans. That game kicks off right here on KCTV5 in just 90 minutes.
Hard to believe, but it's here, and we have you covered until kickoff. Our Danny Welniak, Tom Martin, Brett Anthony, and Rudy Harper, they have the game covered on the field and also outside Arrowhead. We begin with a live look from Chopper 5, and right now a lot of fans are waiting in traffic. A number of other fans are already in the parking lot. They are tailgating, and it is going to be a great night out at Arrowhead.
Yeah, people looking to avoid the hassle arrived early. Rudy Harper joins us live with a closer look at all of the festivities in the parking lot. We can hear the music, but we just can't smell the barbecue smoke from inside the studios. Rudy.
Well, you can hear the music. I have taken over the DJ booth here. This is DJ Breezy. We just gave him that name, and he's the official Kansas City Chiefs DJ. How you feel about that?
Hey, I like it. I personally like it.
He likes it. I'm going to take over the ones and twos in just a minute, but you said it, thousands of fans are out here today. Not as many fans as a regular season game, but the atmosphere is still alive and well today.
The stakes at the Big 12 basketball tournament get higher with each passing day. Here's a look at how things stand right now. 4 teams remain, all of them hoping to cut down the nets at the Sprint Center tomorrow night. And fans have been rallying in power and light all day, so let's go back out to P&L, which of course is packed with thousands of fans. And we know there's a ton of KU and K-State fans. Ellen, are you seeing many West Virginia or Texas Tech fans tonight?
Yeah, you know, Brad, so I've seen kind of a mixture. There's a huge following, though, of West Virginia fans. They travel very well. They also have a really good alumni group here in town, so they have a pretty good fan base here. Texas Tech, I haven't seen as many fans. There are a few kind of mingling around.
Well, here is a look toward Power and Light, where Jayhawk fans celebrated a Big 12 tournament championship earlier tonight. Some of them are still down there celebrating now. Even Union Station is getting in on the celebration. The KC landmark has been lit up in the colors of all the teams throughout the week, but tonight it shines in crimson and blue only. Fans decked out in those colors packed Power and Light during the game to cheer their team to victory outside the Sprint Center. Some wondered if the team would be able to win the tournament after an up and down season, but after the victory, men are feeling confident heading into March Madness. Jayhawk fans quickly stormed Mass Street in Lawrence to celebrate after Kansas beat Duke in an overtime thriller, advancing to their first Final Four in 6 years. We'll have team coverage in just moments. Our team coverage of the Jayhawks' big win. Nathan Vickers is outside Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, where the team is expected to arrive in the next half hour. But we get started tonight with KCTV5's Danny Welniak, who's in Omaha, where the team cut down the nets earlier tonight. Danny, what a thrilling finish.
Oh, Amy, it was so much fun. We are live here in Omaha, where just a couple hours ago we got to witness that. All of these players are so excited to punch their ticket to the Final Four. They get to keep on dancing. You would not believe how many Jayhawk fans stayed inside CenturyLink tonight to be a part of that ceremony. The Jayhawks had fallen short in this round in back-to-back seasons, but now it's a sigh of relief and a lot of excitement. They have finally gotten over that hump.
Another snowy Sunday across the metro. Look at that. Big fluffy flakes fell off and on throughout the day. And it was really beautiful to watch come down. This time around didn't cause any major problems out on the roads there. But meteorologist Brett Anthony has a first look at our Storm Track 5 forecast. And is there any worries about it freezing overnight or anything like that? I mean, this really was beautiful today.
It was beautiful. I mean, some of the snowflakes were silver dollar sized. I mean, huge snowflakes. Yeah.
Just the kind of thing we wanted to see over the winter, but we really didn't see much of it.
This was a much prettier snow.
Turning now back to your weather, we're getting to the time of year where a lot of people are ready to be done with winter. I know I am, but what say you, Punxsutawney Phil?
I see my royal shadow. 6 more weeks of winter to go.
Yep, you heard it. The rodent called for it. 6 more weeks of winter. Phil saw his shadow for the 2nd year now in a row, despite it being a cloudy morning, I might add, there in Pennsylvania. Thought there was no chance of that. But he's a bit of a conservative forecaster, we know this, only predicting an early spring 18 times over the last 103 years. But Phil is more than 900 miles away. He's far from here. So what does he know about our weather, really? Is there any chance of an early spring in Kansas City? Well, for maybe a better answer to that question, we turn to Tater, the hedgehog, at the Kansas City Zoo. He did see his shadow. Didn't seem scared at all by it. His handlers say that means we have a good chance for an early spring. I say we go with whatever Tater says.
Yes.
I think Tater is right on. And yeah, Brett absolutely agrees.